Before your next breath, consider this. Somewhere a woman is waking into a power that does not shout. She carries an invisible sanctuary, and when she steps into the day, the air around her steadies. People feel it before they can name it. If you have ever sensed that your life could be guided by a deeper current than hurry, noise, and obligation, lean closer. What follows are 10 living practices of emotional maturity. Habits that do not mimic strength, but grow it from the root. They are not tricks, hacks, or a costume for difficult days. They are slow, repeatable ways of being that make your inner world trustworthy. For the impatient heart, the smallest consistent practice will outperform the grand gesture you cannot sustain. If you want to know whether this path is for you, notice your breath right now. Notice the space it creates between stimulus and response. That space is the doorway. Walk through it, and the day will meet a different you. First, begin before the world can find you. Wake, but do not rush. Do not open the gates of everyone else's urgency before you have crossed the bridge to yourself. Sit where the light is soft and your breathing is audible to your own ribs. Let attention fall from the brow into the chest, the belly, the floor. Jung might call this a ritual of return. Return from dreams to the self, not to the ego's checklist. 2 minutes will do. 20 is better. Touch the pulse behind thought. Watch the mind present its first bargains for speed and approval, then let them pass. Write a single line that anchors the day. A question, a gratitude, a boundary, a vow. Drink water with both hands as if it were permission. If you do this before you touch a screen for 7 mornings, you will feel like you moved your furniture back to the right rooms. Begin here because beginnings choose the tone of everything that follows. Once you have tasted this steadiness, you will not trade it cheaply. Second, consecrate solitude. Loneliness is hunger. Solitude is feast. Emotional maturity chooses sacred aloneness the way a musician tunes an instrument. Deliberately, again and again. Walk without your phone. Close a door and keep a promise to your own attention. In that uncluttered room, the unconscious speaks in symbol and subtle sensation. What looks like doing nothing is listening for everything. 5 minutes near a window can reset a nervous system. An hour in a chair can restore a kind of courage most people try to buy. If silence makes you uneasy, it is not empty. It is crowded with the notifications you have been postponing inside your own body. Sit long enough for the clamor to thin and a single voice to clarify. In solitude, you learn your edges, your preferences, your real yes and your real no. Without it, you will outsource your center to the loudest room. Keep solitude as you would keep oxygen, quietly, consistently, without apology. Third, make a covenant with the body. Not a project, not an ornament, not a punishment, an oracle. Tension appears in the shoulders. Ask what truth was swallowed. A headache arrives. Ask where thought has overruled feeling. The stomach clenches. Ask whose emotion you picked up like a coat that is not yours. This is not hypochondria. It is literacy. Treat sensation as correspondence from the depths. Scan, breathe, respond. Move in ways that your joints call delicious. Rest as if rest were fuel, because it is. Feed yourself like someone whose clarity depends on it, because it does. Before you make a big decision, take your body for a walk and ask it afterward, what changed? The body often knows what the mind is still negotiating. Jung observed that what the conscious refuses, the somatic will announce. Translate the announcements kindly and on time. Your body is not a courtroom to win. It is a council to consult. Fourth, write to the unseen. Keep a journal not as a ledger of events, but as a portal for active imagination. Date the page, then invite an image from a dream to speak. Ask the anxious part what it fears losing. Ask the angry part what it is protecting. Answer back from your wiser center. On paper, you can host a conversation that reorganizes the psyche without witnesses or performance. Patterns step out of shadow when they are named repeatedly, and once you see a pattern, you can choose a path that does not repeat it. If you think you need perfect words, write the ugliest true sentence you can think of. The second sentence will already be cleaner. Track a recurring dream for 30 days and watch the plot negotiate with you. When your own handwriting surprises you, that is the unconscious answering in its native accent. Let it finish. Then act on one small instruction that scares you kindly. Fifth, curate the gates, eyes, ears, skin, breath. You cannot bathe in outrage and expect serenity. You cannot feed on gossip and expect intimacy. Choose music that steadies the nervous system. Choose stories that make courage feel familiar. Choose rooms where truth sounds normal. This is not prudishness, it is ecology. Your inner life is a garden, and every input is a seed. Plant for the harvest you want to eat. Ask yourself before you scroll, watch, or join, will this fragment or feed me? Will it make me nobler or noisier? For 1 week, replace doom scrolling with 1 page of something durable and see how your conversations change. Select your companions with the same discernment. Not perfect people, humble ones. People who apologize without theater. People who laugh without cruelty. People who can disagree without banishing affection. Everything you allow in teaches your nervous system what normal means. Teach it wisely. Sixth, practice presence without performance. In conversation, slow down by a half second. Hear the words, but also what the breath, shoulders, and eyes are broadcasting. Resist the itch to fill the air with proof of your value. Let your listening be a shelter. People will bring their real questions into that shade without being asked. This kind of presence cannot be faked. It distills from self-confrontation. When you have sat with your own contradictions, you become trustworthy to others by osmosis. You stop interrogating, you get curious. You stop diagnosing, you witness. Try answering one difficult statement with "tell me more" and count the revelations that follow. Presence is not passivity. It is a stance of alert kindness. It sees the person beneath the script. It does not abandon the truth, and it does not abandon the relationship. It is the rare combination of backbone and breath. Seventh, guard vitality like a sacred commons. Learn what drains you and what restores you. Then manage exposure the way a good gardener manages sun and shade. End the day with a brief clearing ritual. Write the 3 emotions you carried that were not yours. Breathe them out and reclaim your attention. Light a candle if you like ritual. Wash your hands if you like simple. Whether you believe in energy or only in biology, notice how intention shifts state. Boundaries work better when the nervous system is regulated. When in doubt, ask your future self, will I thank you for this? And let her vote carry weight. Protect your sleep like a treaty. Protect your focus like a scarce resource. Protect your joy like medicine for the people you love. Emotional maturity is not fragile. It is renewable. But it renews only when you stop leaking through unguarded holes. Eighth, honor reinvention without spectacle. Growth is not a brand. It is metamorphosis. When a new interest stirs, do not require it to justify itself to your past. Try it quietly. Enroll in the class at 50. End the role that has outlived its truth. Move toward the friendship that feels like oxygen. Individuation is the self becoming more itself, and it always asks for a shedding. Death and rebirth are the only real seasons of the psyche. The persona wants the old costume back. The soul wants the right skin. If you keep bumping into the same pain in different rooms, reinvention may be knocking open the door. You do not need to announce your chrysalis. You need to keep it warm. You do not need to defend your change to those who benefit from your sameness. You need to keep walking. The quiet experiment will prove what the argument never could. 9th, practice sovereign boundaries delivered with dignity. Say no without a courtroom drama. Say yes without resentment. Replace explanations with clarity. That does not work for me. Here is what I can offer. Here is what I need. This is the inner masculine integrated, decisive without hardness. When guilt, manipulation, or anger arrives, treat them as information, not instructions. Withdraw from the performance of pleasing. Return to the practice of truth. A boundary is not a wall. It is a door with a wise lock. For the recovering fixer, when you hold your line kindly, you give others the chance to meet their own strength. Boundaries do not isolate you. They make real closeness possible. They also reveal who was relying on your absence from yourself. Let those revelations stand without over-explaining them. 10th, trust timing wiser than hurry. The ego lunges. The self paces. Practice active waiting. Stay attentive while refusing panic. Let a decision ripen. Let a relationship reveal its real shape. Let a project choose its hour of arrival. The Greeks named this kairos, meaningful time that expands when presence deepens. Pay attention to synchronicities, not as superstition but as orientation. The right book falls open. A sentence repeats itself in different mouths. A detour reveals the path. The immature demand certainty. The mature cultivate readiness. If clarity is late, build capacity instead. When it arrives, you will be able to carry it. Now the practice is braid. Emotional maturity does not eliminate pain. It changes your relationship with pain. When grief arrives, you do not chase it away with noise. You make tea and sit where the floor can hold you. When anger ignites, you give it a job. To protect a boundary, to tell the truth, to move the body, rather than letting it burn the house down. When fear speaks, you thank it for trying to keep you safe and then ask your wiser self to take the wheel. Feelings are messengers, not monarchs. They knock, you answer. You decide. The first time you stay present through a hard wave and emerge intact, you will trust yourself in a way that cannot be manufactured by theory. Mature relationships reflect that internal order. You stop electing partners and friends to complete unfinished work from your history. You love because you are full, not because you are starving. You choose depth over drama, repair over scorekeeping, truth over comfortable pretense. You invest where reciprocity is alive and step back where performance is required. Intimacy becomes two sovereign people in honest conversation, not two ghosts negotiating through their masks. Your circle may get smaller. Your capacity for joy grows larger. Watch how often peace follows honesty, even when comfort does not. That is the metric. Mistakes become teachers rather than alibis or indictments. When you act from an old pattern, you name it. Make amends and study it like a scientist who wants better results next time. You refuse the theater of self-attack because shame rarely transforms anything. Responsibility does. Self-forgiveness is not a loophole. It is the oxygen that allows you to keep practicing. You begin to prefer accurate remorse over dramatic guilt because accurate remorse leads to repair. For the recovering perfectionist, progress accelerates the moment. Learning replaces self-punishment. Spirituality in this register is not a costume. It is breath. It may include prayer or meditation, but it is equally present in washing dishes with attention, in the way sunlight lands on the table, in a conversation where both people tell the truth. Meaning is not deferred to a highlight reel. It saturates the ordinary. Jung saw the search for meaning as a central drive, and he was right. When meaning is present, endurance and joy increase. Look for the sacred where it pretends to be mundane, and you will discover it has been tapping your shoulder for years. Time itself rearranges. You stop treating hours as enemies to conquer and start treating attention as the currency that buys a life worth remembering. Chronos still exists. Appointments, deadlines, clocks. But Kairos opens like a window inside it. You will notice afternoons that feel longer because you were there for them, and years that felt short because you were absent. Give your best presence to what matters most, or the trivial will tax you to death. Generosity changes flavor. You still give money, meals, and help when you can, but you also give what people are starving for. Undistracted presence, permission to feel, an example of honest boundaries, the courage to start again at any age. You give without keeping score because your center is not hollow. Just as vital, you receive help without apology, because maturity knows that circulation keeps life healthy. Let your life be a lighthouse, not a loudspeaker. Quiet integrity travels farther than volume. Service ripples outward. You stop trying to fix people who did not ask, and you stop auditioning for roles that do not fit. Your contribution becomes the texture of your being, not a performance for applause. This is the wounded healer in action. Your healed places become medicine. Your scars become maps. The collective benefits when even one person becomes more conscious. Every time you meet a shadow with compassion, the future gets a little lighter. Underneath everything is a different center of gravity. The ego does not disappear. It simply stops acting like a monarch. Persona ceases to be a prison and returns to its proper job. A flexible mask used consciously for particular stages, then set down. Complexes still knock, but they no longer hijack the steering wheel. The observing ego keeps a kind eye on the whole procession. For the inner strategist, the less you are fused with your roles, the more effective you become inside them. If you want a single image for emotional maturity, picture a woman walking through a storm carrying her weather inside her. The wind is real. The rain is cold. The world is loud. But her barometer lives within reach. She pauses, breathes, reads the sky of her own body, and decides. She can be tender without leaking, strong without clenching, available without abandoning herself. She belongs to herself, and therefore she can belong to others without disappearing. To remember, sovereignty is the softest strength because it does not require permission or applause. These practices are not tasks to check off, but rhythms to inhabit. Some days you will falter. You will forget to sit in the morning, avoid the journal, scroll the noise, say yes when no was true, or rush a decision that needed ripening. That is not failure. It is feedback. Return, begin again. Keep choosing the deeper current over the shallow surge. The graph of growth is not a straight line. It is a spiral that revisits lessons at higher altitudes. For the long game, repetition is not regression. It is integration. If a doorway is needed, start where the resistance is loudest. If solitude feels impossible, your attention is exhausted and needs sanctuary. If boundaries feel cruel, your worth is still negotiating for permission. If reinvention feels irresponsible, your loyalty is pointed at an identity rather than at the truth. Choose the practice that scares you kindly and begin small. 5 minutes. One honest sentence, one no. One step toward the thing that keeps calling. The smallest consistent act outperforms the largest inconsistent intention. A life organized around emotional maturity will look ordinary to the hurried eye and luminous to the trained one. Morning presence, midday listening, evening clearing. Kindness with backbone. Curiosity where certainty once stood. You will not escape the human curriculum, grief, change, conflict, limitation, but you will experience it from a larger room. From that room, choices improve. Relationships deepen. Work aligns. Joy visits more often and stays longer. For the skeptics, measure results not by how inspired you feel, but by how you behave when nobody is watching. And if you wonder whether this path is self-centered, remember the paradox mature people embody. The more you belong to yourself, the more responsibly you belong to the world. People anchored in depth cause less collateral damage. They do not bleed on those who did not cut them. They keep their side of the street clean. They apologize without theater. They forgive without erasing memory. They protect what is tender without turning hard. Maturity is the most radical kindness because it removes you as a source of unnecessary harm. So here is the quietly revolutionary invitation. Before the day takes you, take yourself. Choose sacred aloneness over performative busyness. Let your body be your translator. Write to the parts you hide. Guard your gates. Offer presence without show. Clear your field. Reinvent on time. Set doors where you once built walls. Trust the clock that does not live on your wrist. And when pain arrives, hold it with enough courage that it can teach you what only it knows. If these words have found you at a threshold, good. Thresholds are honest. Do not demand a map. Earn it by walking. The practices will adjust you as much as you adopt them. Some will fit today. Others will ripen next season. Keep what works. Keep going. Emotional maturity is not a finish line. It is a way of traveling. May your sanctuary grow spacious. May your weather become steady. May your presence turn ordinary rooms into places where truth can breathe and people can rest. And when someone meets you in that steadiness and feels inexplicably safe, know that you are witnessing your work in the wild. And that is reason enough to continue. You will recognize progress not by how dramatic your days appear, but by the quiet metrics that only you can measure. You will notice how quickly you can find your center after losing it. You will notice how rarely you explain yourself when clarity would do. You will notice that apologies are shorter and sooner. You will notice that you can sit with another person's pain without turning it into a project or a performance. You will notice that you trust your body before a spreadsheet, your intuition before a script, your timing before the crowd. You will also notice what falls away. You will stop collecting relationships that require you to be smaller than your truth. You will stop volunteering for rescues that keep other people from meeting their own strength. You will stop rehearsing arguments in your head with people who are not in the room. You will stop arguing with reality. You will stop trying to earn permission to exist. In their place, you will start cultivating the garden you can actually touch. Your mornings, your inputs, your breath, your presence, your craft, your loves, your thresholds, your rest. If you want an experiment, try this for a season. Keep one promise to yourself upon waking and one upon sleeping. In the morning, start with presence. In the evening, end with clearing. Spend your days as a steward of the attention those bookends create. Guard it. Spend it with intention. Invest it where the returns are human. Insight, honesty, connection, creation. Watch the compounding. Small consistencies accrue interest faster than grand declarations. And when you falter, and you will, practice the shortest distance back. Name what happened without drama. Feel the feeling without a story. Make the next right move without delay. That is the entire algorithm. No mood board can replace it. No borrowed mantra can implement it. This is your life, and it wants your active participation.